Protesters breached the U.S. Capitol as supporters of President Trump swarmed the complex. Police put the area on lockdown and lawmakers were escorted from the Senate floor. The chaos and confusion broke out a little more than an hour after Vice President Mike Pence opened a joint session of Congress to count the Electoral College vote, which will officially confirm Joe Biden as the next president of the United States.
Tellers will announce the votes.
But what is normally a formality had already turned tense as a group of Republican lawmakers backing President Trump planned to raise objections to several battleground states Mr. Biden won, starting with Arizona.
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
Is the objection in writing and signed by a senator?
Yes, it is.
It is.
This session was abruptly interrupted by the violence. President Trump released a video this afternoon asking supporters to disperse.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
President-elect Joe Biden called on President Trump to go on television to demand an end to what he called a siege.
This is not dissent. It's disorder. It's chaos.
Law enforcement released tear gas to disperse the crowd. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The riot and chaos at the U.S. Capitol has led to increased security outside the state capitol in Richmond tonight.
Our Cameron Thompson joins us live now from Capitol Square. And Cam, what are you seeing down there?
Yeah, right now we're at the corner of Main and 10th Street, which is just a block south of the southern entrance to the Virginia State Capitol. And as you can see behind me, one of the Virginia State Capitol police cars blocking the entryway up that street. And it's a similar scene around the complex of those roads leading inwards where they have either police cars blocking entryways for the streets. And then they've also set up gates and barricades around the complex. Speaking with the public information officer for the Capitol Police Department, Joe Masinka, he did not mention anything about specific threats leading to this, but it was being done out of an abundance of caution ordered by Governor Ralph Northam himself.
This afternoon at 3 o'clock, it was decided that for strictly precautionary purposes, to try and head off any trouble before it happens, to close Capitol Square. So we have closed Capitol Square. They have decided to put up some measures around some of the gates like that.
Now, Masinka said there is no current timeline for when this extra security may be lifted, and said they'll be determining that at a later time. As mentioned, this was ordered by Governor Ralph Northam, who's also implemented some other measures as a result of what is happening in the nation's capital, saying that he's instilled a curfew now in effect as of an hour ago in Alexandria, the city of Alexandria, and Arlington County in Northern Virginia. He says with limited exceptions, and he also says that he is issuing a state of emergency across Virginia in order to be able to continue to respond what is taking place. Working for you at the state capitol, Cameron Thompson, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, Cam. Our Jake Burns has been reaching out to the offices of Virginia's representatives to make sure they were safe.
Jake also talked to a member of Congress who escaped the mob. He joins us live with the congressman's message. Jake?
Well, first of all, Bill and Candace, every member of Congress from the Richmond metro area is safe tonight. That congressman tells us he was in the hallway when all that crowd stormed the U.S. Capitol steps.
I condemn anybody that comes here to perpetrate violence.
Representative Rob Whitman is one of the House Republicans planning to object to certification of electors in certain states.
Yes, I was one of the ones that said, I want to make sure we have the debate because there is such concern out there amongst, literally thousands of people that have contacted us and said, listen, I'm concerned about the election as they see it. But having that debate or being in favor of having the debate is not in any way, shape, or form in favor of having the situations that we saw on Capitol Hill today.
Whitman says once it's safe to do so, Congress should continue the certification process.
I think it's critically important that we show the nation that we can do this, even in light of what's happening. We show the world that we can do this. We can do this in a way that that comports to our Constitution, but also does things in a thoughtful way that assures that people's voices are heard.
What might you say then to the Virginians out there who say that's now, after the hindsight of what's happened today, a convenient position to take?
Well, listen, it's taken place before, and we didn't see those things happen previously. So this is about having that process.
In a tweet, former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, a Democrat, says this moment shows the need for new leadership in the White House. We spoke with McAuliffe prior to the violence at the Capitol, and he blamed Wednesday's atmosphere for the current occupants' claims of election fraud.
That's what's happened since November 3rd. I mean, they've looked, they haven't found one scintilla of evidence. And it's really sad. And, but Trump's got people believing this.
It's a topic we asked Representative Whitman about.
Do you feel the President of the United States was one of the people inciting this?
Well, listen, the president got out there and made a speech. And anybody that speaks in ways that would incite people, I think, is unacceptable. My words have always been about saying, let's have the debate. Let's have it in a healthy way.
There is no word yet on when that lockdown will end or if Congress will continue that certification process anytime soon. Working for you in Richmond, Jake Burns, CBS 6 News.
Thanks, Jake. Late this afternoon, I spoke to Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, who said members who were in the House chamber became aware that the violent mob outside was getting louder. She said suddenly there was the sound of breaking glass in the chamber doors as protesters tried to break in. The former CIA officer said the feeling in the room was at first disbelief.
My job was to report on events like these in far-off places, to understand what was happening in far-off places. The fact that this is what we're seeing in the United States of America, that we would see far-right extreme mobs unhappy with the outcome of an election that's been certified by all 50 states, essentially storm the United States Capitol, and create the sort of havoc that we've seen here today. The idea that we would have Capitol police officers barricading a door, which is what they did in the House chamber, with bookshelves and tables to attempt to keep members of the press and members of Congress safe, is just an unthinkable reality.
And Spanberger said that as of about an hour ago, when there was not a clear timetable, there now is, that they would all stay to resume their constitutional duty to certify Joe Biden as the winner of the presidential election.
Our Brendan King joins us now with reaction from Congressman Donald McEachin and Virginia Senator Amanda Chase. Brendan, what are they saying this evening?
Well, tonight, both are sharing different accounts about exactly what happened at the U.S. Capitol this afternoon. Both of the lawmakers were in Washington, D.C. when all of this mayhem ensued. So first, let's start with Congressman Donald McEachin. He represents the 4th District here. He was sitting inside the House chamber when Capitol Police told them to leave immediately to seek shelter. The Democrat tells me he was unaware that these rioters were able to get into the Capitol building in the first place. I also spoke to State Senator Amanda Chase, a Republican from Chesterfield. She's always been a staunch President Donald Trump supporter. She spoke at the rally at 10 this morning, protesting, she says, the results of the election. Chase told me she and her team left when the president was speaking because she says they got intel that they should be leaving for their own safety. So now you'll hear from Chase and then from McEachin. Listen.
I didn't see anything the likes of what was going on with the storming of the Capitol until well after most of us had left. So I don't know what that's about. I guess we'll find out as an investigation is done.
This is nothing short of sedition. It's a sad day, but in my faith tradition, we believe that just before evil is tossed out, it has to raise hell. But evil's about to get tossed out. Democracy will prevail.
Certainly strong words from Congressman Donald McEachin. He says, thankfully, the good news, he and his staff are both doing okay. He hopes to get back to work soon in the House chamber to continue the process that they started earlier today around 1 o'clock. Also, Senator Chase tells me that she claims that there's the possibility that not all of the people who stormed the Capitol today are Trump supporters. She, again, calling for an investigation to figure out exactly what happened. But you'll hear from more of these lawmakers in about 30 minutes. Working for you in Richmond, I'm Brendan King, CBS 6 News.
Thank you, Brendan. CNN reports members of the Virginia State Police are now at the U.S. Capitol. Governor Ralph Northam tweeted earlier this afternoon he was dispatching 200 state troopers in addition to members of the Virginia National Guard. Northam says that came after a request from the mayor of Washington. He says he's working closely with her and members of Congress as the situation there continues. Typically, the National Guard is activated during severe weather and its aftermath, or when a state of emergency is declared, as with the COVID-19 outbreak. But they say this is not something they are used to. Our John Burkett has been talking to his sources, both with the Guard and state police. And John, what are they telling you?
Well, the National Guard, Bill, say they cannot get into their tactics, but did confirm they are heading up north. Now, there was a contingency of carpoolers that left for the President Trump rally from this Ashland truck stop here this morning. And by the looks of things this afternoon, it looks like many of them took to his words when he got on the announcement and said to go home and to go in peace. That message from the president about a half an hour after protesters stormed Capitol Hill and causing a clash with police on the steps, causing the building to go on lockdown. Trump supporters seen in video hijacking, scaffolding, and hoisting themselves up the side of the building. I spoke with local conservative radio host Jeff Katz. He repeated what he said during the rioting in Richmond over the summer. He says there is a right way to exercise freedom of speech. There is a wrong way to exercise it, and today was the latter.
For people around the world who are looking at this and saying, oh my God, it's the United States of America. They may do this right, they may do that wrong, but they do not storm the United States Capitol. And it's just, I just think it's a sad image that's being shared right about now.
And as Bill said at the top there, the D.C. mayor asking for help from the Virginia National Guard, Governor Northam offering the Virginia National Guard along with 200 state troopers. I've spoken to some sources. The state troopers are already en route, if not already there, on Capitol grounds. Working for you in Ashland tonight, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.
Thanks, John. President Trump released a video message around 4:15 this afternoon on Twitter where he called for peace from the rioters in the U.S. Capitol. That message came hours after he had urged them to go to the Capitol. He continues to falsely refer to the election as fraudulent, despite what election officials have said. Here's a part of his video message posted to social media.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
President-elect Joe Biden is also speaking out on the chaos at the U.S. Capitol. He's calling on President Trump to hold a speech on national television to urge the protesters to end what he calls an insurrection.
To storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection. The world's watching. Like so many other Americans, I am genuinely shocked and saddened that our nation, so long the beacon of light and hope for democracy, has come to such a dark moment.